What is everybody? Welcome back to the Transparency Idaho4 Chris Whitcomb's War Room debriefing session. Well, my brain's still fried. Thank you guys for joining. Thank you guys for joining last night. I had an absolutely fabulous time doing that interview. I can't say enough about this book and what it brings to everybody that's been following this case since day one. And that is it just brings a ridiculousness to like paper. It's just pen to paper, and it's in black and white, and you just can't you just see it. But I think I've seen it for a long time, but I think a lot of you guys have. Now, really quick, I just want to point out, I'm going to go over this little timeline that Bill Thompson put together. And I want to just point out at 2:16, Bill Thompson claims that somebody was calling for Murphy and whistling can be heard on 1112 King Road recording. In Bill Thompson's timeline from the book, the first time that he uses 1112 King Road video was at 2:16. So, oh, by the way, did I tell you guys that Chris is coming back next week? He's going to give you guys all a week to get your books and get them on Amazon, read them, and then we're actually just going to do a Q&A strictly with all of you guys. You guys do all of the questions, and so did I tell you guys that? Brain. So a lot of you guys had questions that we didn't even get to. I know tomorrow I'm going to be going live in the morning to go through all of the super chats that I had from yesterday, because I'm going to pull up my video and I'm going to go through and answer all of those as best as I can. If they're for Chris, I'm going to give him those, and they could even be stuff that kick off that show next week. I just got mine. Did you get your book? Did you get your book? Nice. I thought, when did they come out? They come out, was it today? Was it yesterday? Or is it tomorrow? Today's Monday, right? Gosh. Okay. So, listen to this. The dog starts barking, Murphy, and just bizarre Bill Thompson. Here you go. It's 2:16.
I wonder what we could hear right now.
That's what he's talking about. That light barking. And this whistling he's speaking about. I mean, again, guys, I don't know how this isn't hearsay. Hear bark. Hear bark. You know, I object, Your Honor. That is total hear barking. Oh, shit. So, let's take it back, though. I want to talk about. Don't want to talk about it. I want to hear what you guys have to say about this, but there is no sound at 2:16. It's so light. It's so light. I definitely can hear like a door opening, but it sounds like it's it's just so light. Okay. I went through the pictures again today to look at these golf clubs. And that golf club bag in the spare bedroom, that is hella light. Okay, I was a pretty big golfer back in my day. And that set, I'm assuming that potentially Xana was playing out of that set. It is common for people that don't play all the time for them to only have like 7, 3, 5, 7, 9, maybe pitching wedge, driver, 3-wood putter. But that set in that spare bedroom has a putter, I believe, and then 3 or 4 irons, and then 2 woods. So I'm looking, if anybody is out there, anybody can find pictures of Xana and Ethan golfing this summer, like the summer of 2022. I'm looking for those pictures. I'm looking for those pictures. I want to see if we're light a club. Also, Ethan had a set of clubs, I believe, in his Jeep in the back. I have to double check. So I feel like so many creators like yourself know a lot more, even without all the files that Chris has. Well, the redacted versions of them are just, that's what I'm actually going to talk about tonight. The redacted versions, they actually change so much of like the interview, because there's stuff like, okay, like for example, Mitch Noonan's body cam. You guys, they completely redacted Mitch saying in quotes that basically accusing Ethan of being the perpetrator and then killing himself. And then Warner goes, how'd you get there? Meaning like, where'd you come up with that? So that was blanked out for us. Then I want to go look at the Gooch interview again that I have here, because it's written all the way out, I believe. And let's see. Yeah. And I want to point out some stuff because, again, this stuff is not, he took it straight out of the report and put it into the book. And so we're getting it unredacted, which is pretty amazing. Okay. So here we go. Bill Thompson's little, okay. Okay. By the time Bill Thompson was ready to go to trial, the police had turned Officer Noonan's initial report into a 108-page spreadsheet composed of well over 1,000 individual cells. You guys know Excel. So a spreadsheet from Excel. Each entry listed the date, time, the nature of the event, and the source from which the information was derived. So this 108-page spreadsheet is what I am seeking, right? In the book, obviously, we don't get the 108 pages, okay? But there's a handful of them in there. Now, that's what I'm going to look at right here. These were the entries listed. Again, had the date, the time, and the nature of the event, and then the source from which the information came from. But the way that Bill Thompson was doing this at trial, supposedly, is that Bill Thompson's team of prosecutors, as they lined up their arguments and exhibits and witnesses and presentations, that's how, when we have one of the spreadsheets that's like the 26 pager with all the exhibits. It's similar to that. Now, for example, the start of this spreadsheet is the first date on it is Brian Kohberger replacing his battery in his Hyundai Elantra in July of 2020. More than 2 years before the crime. The next shows him replacing his brake pads 2 days later. Then they recorded his purchase of an Amazon. They recorded his purchase of an Amazon gift card on March 20th, 2022, for example, and that someone used it 1 day later to order a K-bar knife and sheath that was delivered to his parents' home. They do not explain why they assumed this is the same knife sheath found in pristine condition, 2,560 miles away, partially lodged under Maddie Mogan's thigh. It was not until a week after the K-bar purchase that Kohberger even received an admission certificate from WSU. Only then did he receive a funding package through the spring of 2023, securing enrollment as a PhD student in criminology. I'm sorry, spring of 2022. Now, we got the name of the barbershop where Kohberger went. I can't remember if you guys had known that or not. Powers Barbershop. Anyways. Now, let's focus on, here we go. Okay. In November of 2023, investigators with the Moscow Police Department and the Idaho State Police produced a formal timeline for the Latah County Prosecuting Attorney's Office. Okay, this is in November of 2023. This document provides detailed and insightful glimpses into the crimes themselves, as well as all the people involved. Anyone trying to make sense of information disclosed to the defense would do well to start with an understanding of how police line things up. Transcribed here is their timeline. So this is what Moscow Police Department and Idaho State Police, they're like, here, this is what we're basically providing. And this is their timeline. So now let's see what we think about this. The formal ball that they went to on 11/11. I had it down as, did Xana and Ethan go to that formal on 11/11? So according to the investigators, they said the formal ball at the Hi-Fi sorority, Kaylee was Dylan's date to the ball. Xana and Ethan attended too. They returned home around 8:30 p.m. by Uber. They had a party at 1122 King Road after the ball until early 11:12. So let's see. Okay. I had it as no, negative. And I give a shout out to Mark B. We were talking, I was like, hey, we really got to hone in on this Explorer, this 429 car, How do you go to the ball if you're not part of the sorority anymore? Like, how did Xana go to the ball if Xana's not a member of the sorority anymore? How did Xana and Ethan attend? Anybody? Okay, next up is the investigators say that Bethany wakes up the next morning, only Ethan at the house, other roommates at Taco Bell return shortly. And this is what they're putting down as the source. So the source for the first event was Mortenson's interview. I'm over here expecting like, wow, like we got some pictures, we got proof, we got some like data, like latitude and longitude. They're dancing their balls off, shaking their asses. Okay, I don't even know. Is that what you do with the formals? The next one with Bethany waking up, that's Bethany Funk's interview. Next one, they put down Chestnut wakes up at his fraternity in his room, per Chestnut. The O'Neill supplemental report, so per Chestnut. The next one is Hunter at 1122 King pre-gaming for football game from noon to 1. Mallory's report. That means AKA Hunter Johnson. This is really what the police turned in, and when they're typing like their sources. So the source of all of this shit is for each 1, 2, 3, 4 is the interview. Then you guys want me to put it on? I can put him up on Hector here. Sarah, that's the next day. So on Friday night there was a Pi formal, but that's the night I'm talking about. Now here should just blow your mind. 12:21 on Saturday. At 12:21 p.m. on that Saturday, 11/12. Madison takes a Lyft, unknown locations. It was a 20-minute ride. And this came from a Lyft receipt, okay? Well, are you going off of a Lyft receipt that's on her bank statement? Because those can come in a couple days later. Are you going off of like, what's going on here? What do you mean this Lyft receipt? Just so you know, like Lyft doesn't give you a paper receipt. Like it's an app. But where did Madison take a Lyft to on Saturday at 12:21? I'm like, she goes somewhere by herself. Again, this was Saturday. Then at 12:54, the police say Dylan sends Madison, Kaylee, and Josie an Instagram message. That's from Mortenson's cell phone, like page 3055 to 3056. But they don't write what any of the contents is. Like, what the fuck does it matter? Why is that important? Now, between 2:30 and 3 o'clock, Kaylee and the roommates arrive at Kayla's apartment on Taylor Street. And that's coming from Kayla's interview. Versus, let me tell you this. Versus, I could tell you that this isn't accurate because Madison, Kaylee, and all of the roommates already took those pictures of them posing by at least 2:13 p.m. because of a timestamp on a text message that was sent with the picture. So, like, don't you think the more accurate timestamps would be like people's phones and actual like direct like messages? I agree. How can they not view the destinations? You can. You totally can. Usually, even in your own app, it'll tell you where the hell you went. I mean, it's just bizarre. Like, they did nothing. They did not want to do anything through the digitals. Next. Now, this one's a long one. At 2:00, Bethany leaves with Maddie, Dylan, Xana, Ethan, Hunter Johnson, Josie, Lyndon, Kai Davis, Allie, Sky, and they go to Kayla. So according to Bethany, she's like, we went at 2. So Bethany's got it more accurate. Okay. And in Bethany's interview, when she lists all these people, she said, here though, Kaylee had previously left before them. Like Kaylee left to go over to Kayla's house earlier. That's why she didn't walk over there with us, because she went over there, before us. Okay. So think about this. At 12:21, Madison is taking a Lyft to an unknown locations, right? For 20 minutes. Why would Maddie be taking a Lyft for 20 minutes worth of rides at 12:21 on 11/12? That would take you almost to 1:00. And I'm telling you, I believe that this is not on that day. Why wouldn't Maddie take her own car? She has a car. She wants to just take a Lyft somewhere. Come on. Next. Now, in Kayla's interview, she's like, they probably left around 5 or 6. And then in Hunter Johnson's interview, he says they left around 2 or 3. He said around 2:30. And I'm over here like, again. I'm like, yeah, well, I don't understand why we're doing that when we could just have people's cell phones that we can just but they say, what's the source of all of this? Well, all of their interviews. Next one, 2:30. Showalter and Chestnut are at the party at the Whites, per Showalter. Chestnut says this occurs from 1 to 2. And again, that's them interviewing with the police. Then at 2:30 to 3, Kaylee and all of her roommates arrive at, again, this doesn't make any sense, but moving on. At 3:12 p.m. on Saturday, Dylan sends Josie's on a vacation for an Instagram message, but we don't know the contents of it. But it's from Dylan Morris's phone, her Celebrate report, page 3075. At 3:48 p.m., Bethany and Xana leave the party at the Whites. Ethan had left before them. Everyone else was still there. Bethany and Xana go to Allie Benson's house on Taylor. Okay, so they're basically just jumping from apartments. You know what I mean? Have you guys ever gone tailgating at college? Is you're bouncing around people's apartments? Okay. So instead of just saying we were at the Whites, they were asking these people to get specific, which is okay, so you were at that person's apartment, then you were at that person's apartment. So when they were at the Whites, then we're breaking it down to say, okay, so Allie Benson lives at the Whites, and so does Kayla. And they have 2 different, apartments. And they're definitely 2 different apartments because their numbers are different. And guess where this information comes from? Bethany's interview. Now, Showalter at 4:16, he's at his apartment to stretch his back at ibuprofen. And I'm like, the fuck? Chestnut at the White still. Mention of going to get food. These are the text messages between Chestnut and Showalter. Awesome. Now, at 4:51, Bethany and Xana leave Allie Benson's and return to King Road. Bethany and Xana, okay? Bethany, Xana, Maddie, Kaylee, and Dylan made food. You guys remember that? They're like, we cooked. And I think it was like pasta or some shit. Now this is how it just blows my mind here. They said that was at 4:51. Guess what the next line is? 4:50. And I'm like, do these people not know how to add? Do these people not know what chronological order is? How could you have a spreadsheet and you put something that does not come after? Like, what do they think it's really difficult to hit the, insert tab button and then copy it and put it into like where it will truly belong? This is the same exact thing that they did in the Moore case. Like, so here, 4:50, Maddie sends an Instagram message to Dylan, Kaylee, Xana, and Bethany. And so what they were doing, oh, and by the way, they got this from Mortenson's phone, like using her Cellbrite. Okay. Throughout this entire timeline, they don't ever use Maddie's phone and they don't ever use Kaylee's phone for anything as far as like the source of information. 5 to 5:30, Chestnut passes out in his room and Showalter returns home per Chestnut. This is inconsistent with the timestamp on Tallman's phone, indicating Showalter is requesting a ride from Delt. And I'm over here like, this isn't inconsistent. Do they not know that at 19:30 hours at 7:30, if Chestnut is passing out in his room and Showalter returns home, this is between 5 and 5:30. Okay. The cops are over here saying, this is inconsistent. Wait, what's inconsistent? Do you guys not know how to tell military time? Did you guys mess up and say to yourself, oh, would you think 1700 was 7 o'clock? And then you're looking at 1930 and you're like, that's 7 o'clock, 7:30. I mean, these people are, what is contradicting with anything? If Showalter is requesting a ride from Tallman at 7:30, what does that have anything to do with between 5 and 5:30? Absolutely nothing. These people suck. Okay? If you want to get your dick sucked, go to Idaho. How about that? How about that? That one was for my mods. Fucking ridiculous. This is just bullshit. Now, 5:03. 5:03. And I'm like, 5:03. I'm like, these, again, they suck. 5:03. They put this after all of that. 5:03. This girl, Erica. Okay. Erica sends Ethan a message saying, you're getting cheated on. Guess what the source is? Work product. Now, when you hear the term work product, it's like, all of this is work. This right here is work product. What do you mean work product? The fuck are you talking about? You're not going to be able to get up on the stand and say your source is your work product. What a fool. These people are fools. So, if you guys haven't checked it out, go check out my post today on, it's, anybody can view it. And I put up a picture of a girl named Erica with a K. And I put up a picture of Erica with a K again, standing with him on some field trip with President Green and David Barachoa. I think that's his last name. I don't know. And then some other kid. And this Erica with a K, I think she is more of a front runner for the text to Ethan, right? But this is what should just blow your mind. How does Erica with a K, like, you have her number. Erica sends Ethan a message saying, you're getting cheated on. And now maybe they're saying, well, no, we don't have her number. We just have her Snapchat, which is Erica. Okay. Because it's in quotes, Erica. Okay. Well, Snapchats are connected to phone numbers, aren't they? Anyways, people have been saying it could be Erica Anthony. I'm telling you, go check it out. It makes more sense for it to be this Erica, only because of the circle of friends of like she's all Sigma guy and da da da. I think that the person I posted today could be more of a. Anyways, I said to myself, wait a second. 5:03, Erica sends Ethan a message saying you're getting cheated on, and the source is work product, and that's I'm guessing it's a search warrant return that came back. Okay, which is discovery. Okay, and but none of you guys are able to figure out who Erica is. Now, again, that was at 5:03. My little side note for that is I said, what the fuck is this? Because we've been at this case for how long? And nobody could have had that on their bingo card that Ethan received a text or Erica sends Ethan a message saying you're getting cheated on. Then at 5:32 on this Saturday, so just 30 minutes later, Xana texts Ethan saying she is taking a nap until 8. Okay. And that's from Ethan's phone timeline page 73. And I said, timeline page 73. Timeline page. First of all, like when they're talking about people's phones, it says Mortensen's phone, report page, da da da. Ethan's phone, timeline page 73. Okay. Well, did Ethan just get this phone recently? How is this timeline page only 73? For example, Mortensen's phone report page 3079. Okay. So keep that in your back pocket. Ethan's phone, timeline page 73. And again, they don't take this from Xana's phone. They take it from Ethan's. Now, 4 minutes after that at 5:36, Dylan receives a phone call from Bethany. It was less than 12 seconds. Again, that's from Mortensen's phone report page 3079. Then about 8 minutes after that, Dylan calls a 203 number, area code, and has a 3-minute and 51-second phone call with her. So almost 4 minutes. The number returns to a Natalie Dayton. Okay. Well, Natalie and Dylan went to Boise High School together. Okay. Natalie and Dylan go to Boise High School together. But guess what? Natalie isn't even in Idaho unless she was literally visiting because she went to Indiana. She's a Hoosier. She went to, I think it was USBC. I think it was, and then she transferred. But she ends up going to Indiana, University of Indiana. So over here, Midwest, let's go. And then, so I don't know. But that was on page 3080. Okay. So whatever Dylan's doing within those 8 minutes had to be something, because this report or this action ends up being on the next page just 8 minutes later. So she's constantly doing something. Yeah. All right. So now they say Bethany, Maddie, Xana, Dylan. Bethany, Maddie, Xana, Dylan all napped at King House. Dylan says from 5 until 8. Okay, that's her in her interview. Well, I'm like, wait a second. Well, where's Kaylee? What's Kaylee doing? This is Bethany, Maddie, Santa, Dylan, all napped at King House. Is it a typo? Is it supposed to be Kaylee as well? Anyways, now the first time that we get to hear anything about the Explorer is at 9:19 or 19:19, which is 7:19. So, and this kind of blows stuff up for me. At 7:19, the Explorer leaves the King House. And I'm like, well, how do you fucking know that? And it says Ford Explorer logs, page 2453. And it's like, wait, what? If this is anything like the logs that they had in the O'Keefe case, okay? Yeah, no. So I'm over here scratching my head because I'm like, why are the police think it's so important for this little timeline they put together to be mentioning the Explorer? Because there's a lot of things in this that don't get mentioned. For example, the text messages between Ethan and Hunter Johnson. Remember, like he takes her, like somebody stole somebody's phone or something like that. Like, where's that shit? Anyways, they're going to try to say that at 7:19, the Explorer leaves the King House. At 7:26, okay, that's page, and now that's the Ford Explorer logs, page 2453. Now check this out. 7 minutes later, the Explorer arrives at Kappa Alpha Theta House. Per Maisie. Maisie's saying that, like, and this is 7:26, and it's it'd be Ethan, Maisie, Reagan, Darius, Hannah, Jack Katovich, Riley Black. They all get into this Explorer, 8 of them. That means that they're putting, remember how, like, I told you about that Explorer, it has like the third row. So 8 people are getting in that vehicle. And that they all drive together. So it says at 7:26 here, they said this is happening. That's the Ford Explorer logs. Now listen to this. Page 3228. And I'm like, wait, what? If 7 minutes ago was page 2453, how is the Ford Explorer logs, how is this on page 3228? Almost 1,000 pages later. Where you would find that. So I made a little star next to that because that just doesn't add up for me. Then they're saying, so this is it. Ethan gets in his car, gets in the Explorer at King. But this doesn't make sense because Xana texts Ethan and says, hey, I'm going to be napping from 5 to 8. Okay. Hey, I'm going to nap from 5 to 8. Okay. So if she's texting him that, right? I've never texted somebody that if I'm with them. Okay, so somewhere, somehow, Ethan and Xana weren't together. Okay? They got separated somehow. And she's texting him that. Then at 7:19, they're saying that the Explorer leaves King House and then it arrives at the Kappa Alpha Theta House at 7:26. Then they all hang out there because it wouldn't be until 7:59 that the Explorer then leaves Kappa Alpha Theta, and that would be the Ford Explorer logs, which is page 3228, which makes sense. 3228. But here, even more so proving what I'm saying is that how could the Ford Explorer logs Page 2453, B, the 719. It just, I don't buy that at all. Next, Dylan. So at 7:59, the Ford Explorer's leaving and heading to the Hunga Dunga Brewery. Now, it's at 8:04, Dylan calls Maddie, who doesn't answer. Okay. She responds with a message, one of those, you just hit it. It says, can I call you back? Can I call you later? Dylan says, yes, I called you to wake up and come down. And that's from Dylan's cell records. They don't use Maddie's, like I said. Now at 8:06, Ethan, Maisie, all these people, they arrive at Hunga Dunga Brewery. So it takes them 7 minutes to get there. And that's per Maisie Chapin's interview. And I'm like, 8:06, like how the fuck would she know that when they're arriving? I'm like, maybe they have Life 360 here. So she's able to like give these specific times. Now at 8:07, a minute later, Ethan tells Xana he is going to her house to change. What? They just arrived at Hunga Dunga Brewery. Okay. And now Ethan tells Xana at 8:07 he is going to her house to change. And that's from Ethan's cell phone, page 87. And I'm like, wait a second. Page 87? Again, guys, do you understand in a Cellbrite report, if you're talking about this being page 87, when did Ethan get this phone? Next. So then from 8:07 to 8:39, they don't have anything that they feel like we're going to be putting on here. We're going to go to 8:40, which is Kaylee texts Eric and asks if he is working tonight. Eric Gower. Gower interview Blaker. They don't use either one of these guys' phones, but hey, Gower interview Blaker, like, even though you have a cell phone. Now at 8:57, Kaylee posts pictures on Instagram and sends pictures to Xana as well. Guess where we get that from? Xana's cell phone. Page 2952. So, okay. Now, Kaylee sends Dylan an Instagram message. And so what it would seem like to me is that you can hit multiple people and you could send. So she sent the pictures of them like taking those pictures at and underneath the infamous pictures. Okay. 8:58. Dylan sends Kaylee a message back and says, can you send me those those photos, please? Dylan phone records page 3088. Now at 8:59, Maddie calls Xana. Now, I've done this in my house numerous times when I was in college. I will just call you even though I'm in the same house as you because our house was 1, 2, 3 floors. Okay. And so I'm just going to call my downstairs roommate. So, but anyways, Maddie calls Xana. It doesn't say if it was answered. It just says Maddie calls Xana. And they use Xana's cell phone, her records. 9:00. Maddie and Bethany leave King House. So Maddie and Bethany leave the King Road house to go to Peter's apartment at the Sigma Chi party. Ethan and Xana came over after Bethany and Maddie got because this is from Bethany's interview. She's like, me and Maddie went, and then Ethan and Xana arrived, after. And I'm over here saying, okay, where's Xana? Where's Xana? And then this is all coming from Bethany's interview. Kaylee was not going to the Sigma Chi party, so she stayed back. And then she's like, Dylan walked to the party alone later. Okay. So if you guys remember that from these interviews. Now, Ethan, Maisie, Hunter, Chapin, all those people that were out Hunga Dunga Brewery, they leave at 9:02. So they were only at Hungadungabury for an hour. Okay, that's it. They got there at 8:06, 8:07, and they were leaving at 9:02. The Ford Explorer logs on page 2530, and it says comma 3240. Those two different pages is saying that it arrives back at that Kappa Alpha Theta house at 9:06. Then 2 minutes later, Ethan's phone connects to Air Vandal guest Wi-Fi. Now, do you remember when it was said that Ethan went in to the house and he started making himself a bunch of sandwiches? Do you guys remember that? And I'm over here thinking to myself, didn't he just go to the Hungadunga Brewery? Is that not a place that you can get food? Is it only alcohol? So maybe it was like a pregame, like go there, get some drinks, and then, but none of these kids are 21. Like, do they serve food at Hungadunga Brewery? Because I don't know. Anyways, but Ethan's phone connects to the Air Vandal guest Wi-Fi. The only thing I can think about is when Ethan's mom's talking about how they all got out of the car and go into, and they just make themselves sandwiches. But I just want to point something out to everybody. This is where I made a huge star, and I said, right here, this is really important, because this proves that Ethan's phone was the only way that you can connect to the Air Vandal guest Wi-Fi is if you've ever logged on before, so you could save it. When you're in the range, it will like pick up and you can connect. But it would also require Ethan's phone to be on in that capacity, that you have your Wi-Fi on, that you have, so you're like able to, like, when you're driving around or walking around, if you've ever signed on before, it'll just automatically like boop boop, like you're good to go. Okay, like meaning like you're good to go. Like we'd be able to see, even if you didn't intend to be on that person's Wi-Fi, but if you've ever been on their Wi-Fi in the past, then it would be an automatic connect. Okay, so right here I started and I said, okay, this is really, really important, because this is exactly what I was saying to Chris last night. I'm like, why aren't we tracking Ethan and Xana's phones when they would have connected back at the house at 1122 King Road? Because the same thing should be in his phone. Ethan's phone connects to whatever the name is of their internet. Okay. Now, within 1 minute, so at 9:08, Ethan's connected to that Wi-Fi. At 9:09, Maddie leaves the Sigma Chi party to meet Kaylee and go to the club, per Bethany's interview. And I'm over here saying, how the fuck are you putting down 9:09? Like, I mean, this is so specific. Was she just whipping out these pictures and these timestamps? And okay, well, great. I guess next. Now, at 9:08, and between 9:08 and 9:10, Dylan takes 12 photos. Dylan takes 12 photos, basically like selfies or something, because I think that maybe she's getting ready. I have no idea. I would love to know what these 12 photos are. But from 9:08 to 9:10, she's taking photos. She would have been at the house. Kaylee's there. Remember, Kaylee had the friend that came over. So they're waiting for Maddie to get back, because they're going to get in like the car with Eric Gower to take them to the corner club. But so Dylan takes 12 photos, and it's in Dylan's cell phone, and that's where they get this information from. Then at 9:18, Dylan calls Maddie. And so I'm over here like, 9:09. If Maddie leaves the Sigma Chi party to go meet Kaylee at 9:09, what the fuck is Dylan calling Maddie for at 9:18? You guys, it does not take no 10 minutes to walk across that street, but whatever. But Dylan calls Maddie, and there's a 14-minute interaction, which could either be that they talked or that a voicemail could have been left. We would need the incoming person's phone records to be able to prove that they actually answered the call. So you would never use Dylan's phone records to ever prove this. You have to have the incoming person's number to prove that they actually answered the call, because this could actually signify just a voicemail. But anyways, 921. The Explorer says, Explorer. Now, this is where they put in parentheses, believed to be driven by Ethan. The Explorer, believed to be driven by Ethan, leaves Kappa Alpha Theta. Maisie does not go with the rest of the group. She remains at her house. And this is the Ford Explorer logs, page 2530, as well as the Maisie Chapin interview by Vargas, supplemental 69. Then 3 minutes later, 924, Explorer believed to be driven by Ethan stops at Sigma Chi. Ford Explorer logs, page 3274. And I'm like, again, jumping all over the place here. I don't know how these logs would not just be, if these are events that are happening one after the other, how are they not on the same fucking page? Okay. Next. So Explorer, believed to be driven by Ethan, stops at Sigma Chi, was there for 1 minute. 1 minute. Because at 9:25, Explorer, believed to be driven by Ethan, leaves Sigma Chi. So what's being said here is that basically they go to drop off the girls, Ethan, so they drop off the girls, and then they're there, whatever, having sandwiches. Then they leave, they go to Sigma Chi, and for 1 minute, that vehicle's there. So it shut off. Okay. It shut off to like restart up again. I mean, like, anyways, it's there for a minute. People get out, but the only person that doesn't get out. So listen to this. They want to say that this vehicle, believed to be driven by Ethan, leaves Sigma Chi. And 2 minutes later, this Explorer, believed to be driven by Ethan, arrives at 1122 King Road. And it's the Ford Explorer logs, 2,482 and 2,537. Again, I have no idea why these pages don't make sense. But ready? We have an infamous sighting of Idaho State Police and Moscow Police doing the Idahoan thing, which is let's move timestamps around because it blows up the narrative. Ready? I will use Hector for this. These little fuckers. We're coming for you. Take a look at this shit. These little shitbucks. Okay. 924, 925. Well, let me ask you guys a question. Does 926, where would that be? Oh, that should be right up in here, right? Well, let me show you why they didn't put it there. Let me tell you why they didn't put it there. Let me tell you why they didn't put it there. Because it blows up who actually would be driving this Explorer, or this Explorer ever truly leaving and going to 1122 King Road. Ready? Because this is a text message, motherfuckers, at 9:26, which if you put it here, okay, Ethan sends Hunter Johnson a snap message. Drinking with Xana and Bethany. Come hang with page 190. Come hang with. See that? Josie's on him. You see that right there? Now, drinking with Xana and Bethany. Well, guess what, motherfuckers? I just caught your ass again. I love blowing up Idaho. Here it is. This being right here, because look at Explorer believed to be driven by Ethan, leaves Sigma Chi. Oh, guess who? It wasn't because of Ethan driving it then. Because Ethan is at the Sigma Chi with Bethany and Xana, and saying that come hang with. So I want you guys to ask yourself a little question. Dylan Mortensen said that she had to finish up some fucking schoolwork and then she had to fire it off, and she knows that she didn't go to the party until later because she had to fire off her work, okay, on a Saturday, and not till like 10 or 10:30. And this would have been the same time that Hunter Chapin says, I think I'm just going to exit stage left and I'm going to go to bed at 10 or 10:30. So either these Explorer logs can all just go to hell, or Ethan is not driving this vehicle, because Ethan is at Sigma Chi, okay, and he is with Xana and Bethany. And if you're sending a snap message, okay, if that was sent with a pic, oh hell. Oh hell. Okay. Oh hell no. And remember then, so let's go back over here. Okay. So that was that. All right. And then this is what we get. We get between, again, they just want to be crazy with it. After that, which was 9, well, we have to go back up here. So at 9:30, at 9:31, okay. So after they're trying to say that the Explorer arrives at 1122 King Road, okay, at 9:27, at 9:31, Dylan calls Xana, okay, and they talk potentially, for 18 seconds, okay, and then 9:39, so that was at 9:31, so at 9:39, Ethan receives a notification at 9:39, and it's called Cougar Den. Dylan, Maddie, and Bethany enter new chats. Bethany adds Ethan to the group. So Dylan, Maddie, Bethany, and then Bethany adds Ethan. Okay. So not in this group chat would be Kaylee and Xana. Kaylee and Xana. Again, where is that coming from? Work product. Sweet. Then we get into the 10 o'clock hour. And at 10 o'clock, we have a couple things going on here. So I was expecting to see a Dylan arrives at Sigma Chi. Okay, so I want us to understand something. According to this shit, right? I would love to know and ask Riley Moreland if when you and Kaylee left to go to the corner club, was Dylan still there? Did anybody come and pick up Dylan? Because according to Dylan, it was just Dylan, Kaylee, and another girl. And that on her way to, she's trying to say on her way to go to remember Sigma Chi, that she saw Maddie coming on her way back. Do you guys remember that? And so here, Maddie and Kaylee, Bethany's friend Yessie arrives at Sigma Chi party and hangs out with her. That's at 10. At 10:08, Bethany calls Claire. Remember this infamous, like you own, Claire owns you type shit? I don't fucking know. Remember that back in the day? Well, Bethany calls Claire, no answer. Bethany's cell, page 54. And I'm like, is that the first time we get to Bethany here? When I was going through this, I was like, is that our first Bethany? We're going to actually use her phone here. Okay. And the answer is yes. And I'm like, wait, Bethany, page 54. Again, do you understand in a Cellbrite dump when you get usually reports back from like a phone, it could be like 5,000 pages total. Should I have gone through phones that were like 40,000 pages, 20,000 pages? Okay, because depending on when you got this device, and it has all this material in it. Okay, and for you to have a phone and the Cellbrite and you're printing this stuff out and it's only on page where was it 54, what did I say? Bethany cell, page 54. That is mind blowing. Unless her Cellbrite dump is going backwards, so there could be a potential for of that to be the case, which means that there's only 53 at that point. There would only be 53 more transactions for Bethany. 53 pages worth of transactions for Bethany before her phone was downloaded. That, you know what I'm trying to say? Like when you download somebody's phone, depending on how you arrange, I guess, these folders, but if it's going to go from like if it's going to go backwards, then, but I think it's interesting. Curious that when you look at something like Gower's text messages, page 5,930, that's the page that the Gower text messages are that we're about to talk about. So anyways, Bethany cell, page 54, gives you the Bethany calls Claire. And I'm just like, why is that important? But that's at 10:08. Then at 10:30, Chestnut wakes up and plays games in his rooms the rest of the nights per Chestnut. Didn't you get his phone? 10, like I told you guys, Bethany's friend Yessie arrives at the Sigma Chi party and hangs out with her. I believe that Ann Taylor was going to ask Yessie. She had her on her witness list. And I believe that she was going to ask her things about how much Bethany was drinking. And I think that she was going to ask her potentially about Dylan. And did you see Dylan at Sigma Chi? Okay. Because understand this. Dylan walks over to Sigma Chi by herself at what time? When? Do you understand that means she told investigators that she left before Kaylee and Maddie left to go to the club? I question that. And I think that this Yessie, like, you need to find that out. Because that would put Dylan in the house, right? By herself for a good little time, whatever it is that she may need to be doing by herself in the house. So anyways, now between 10 10:15, Maddie and Kaylee arrive at the corner club in a Prius-type vehicle with another unidentified female. Dylan says Kaylee was at the house with a female friend named Riley Moreland at 10:30 when she left. And it's like, you guys don't know to put that in the timeline that it was Riley Moreland. Why didn't you just ask Riley Moreland? Why are you going off of Blaker supplemental 108 and then the Gower text messages? You know? Anyways, Dylan arrives at Sigma Chi apartment 4 at 10:30 per Dylan. Ethan, Hunter, Xana, Yessie, Gideon, they were there. Dylan and Gideon were in and out of lodge before going to Peter's apartment. So Dylan just walks by herself, goes on over. And at 10:30, she's saying, I arrived at apartment 4. And it was Ethan, Hunter. That means Hunter Chapin. Xana, Yessie, Gideon. They were there. Dylan and Gideon were in and out of the lodge before going to Peter's apartment. Hunter said that he went to bed at like 10:30, right? Bethany and Yessie go to the main house for the Sigma Chi fraternity party. And that was at 10:30 to 10:45. So they like leave that apartment per Bethany's interview. Now, at 10:34, across over there on WSU's campus, Brian Kohberger is in a store purchasing, or in a Walmart store in Pullman purchasing Bounty napkins, toilet paper, and groceries. Then at 10:44, like 10 minutes later, Kohberger is in a store purchasing at Safeway in Pullman grocery items, receipt from apartment. You guys, how the fuck could you get out of Walmart? Are these places right next to each other? I would just think that it would be kind of interesting that you're checking out of Walmart by the time that you like then walk out of Wally World, get in your car, put your shit in your car, get in your car, then you have to drive to wherever the Safeway is in Pullman, and he got grocery items. You have to get out of your car, go inside, pick the shit that you need, and get to the freaking, the scan, whether it's self-serve, whatever it is. You were able to do and hit both of those stores, like leaving the one store and within 10 minutes leaving the other store because you have the 2 receipts. That's pretty impressive. I could never do that. Anyways, I would just be like, when I see something, I'm like, oh, you know what? I need some of those Tic Tacs. Oh, I need some of those. Yeah, I'm going to rather that gum. But he was able to get all this shit. Anyways, so at 10, that's what he's doing. Okay, that's the mindset here of somebody that just went and bought Bounty napkins, toilet paper, groceries, okay? Then goes to Safeway to get grocery items and they're saying we have these receipts from his apartment, okay? 10:30 and 10:44. Then at 11:14, so we have this gap, and it's Bethany sends Maddie a Snapchat, unknown contents, photo 132. That's at 11:14. 11:21. Maddie and Cole Barber take a photo together at Corner Club, and they send it with a text to Leo Romero. Next, 12:04 a.m. Dylan sees Xana for the last time at Allie's. Listen to this very, very, very closely. Dylan sees Xana for the last time at Allie's. Xana is holding a White Claw. This is per Dylan's interview. So this would put Xana leaving Sigma Chi. Okay. Against everything else that everybody else is saying. So Dylan's saying that she sees Xana for the last time at Allie's. Xana's holding a White Claw, and this is at 12:04. But guess what these MPD and Idaho State Police idiots do? Instead of writing, I don't know, 00 colon 04, they put 24 colon 04. That's how they think military time works. 24:04. They think that's 12:04 a.m. You understand? You understand what fucking idiots we're dealing with here? These motherfucking dumbasses. Okay? Here it is. I'm going to show it to you because look at these fucking fools. And this is who's doing this shit. This is who is leading the way. See this shit? 24:04. Get the hell out of here. You know, like I'm telling you guys, we lose brain cells. This is pathetic. Look at these idiots. Unbelievable. Okay. Just, you can't make this shit up. Okay, I'm sorry, but this is just ridiculous. All right. And they wonder why we laugh at them. Because it's just pathetic. Their work is pathetic. Okay. Yeah. People make mistakes. Yeah. You do. People make mistakes every day, no doubt about it. This is a mistake that is just, this isn't a mistake. That's just dumb. You understand that they don't know what they're doing. That's not a mistake. You don't know it, and you just wrote that. And so the person that would have wrote that and typed that up, okay, if you think that that's somebody that's been in the military, so who at Pullman, who the fuck wrote this? Who typed this up? Who typed this up, man? Okay. Anyways, ridiculous. Now, all right, so now we really have to focus on this Xana stuff, because Dylan says that Dylan sees Xana for the last time at Allie's. Xana is holding a White Claw, and I just want to say so bad. Are you sure it wasn't like? Didn't they have like a place called John's? Was it John's Alley, something like that? That would put both Dylan at a club, underage, and Xana. But Allie Benson's, which is at the Whites, y'all. Wait for this. Ready? Wait for this. Ethan received a text from Hunter Johnson at 12:21. Are you guys still at Sigma Chi? Ethan at 12:40. Supposedly, like, this is Ethan using his phone. Ethan, I'm sorry, at 12:43 says, yep, when responding to Hunter Johnson asking if he is still at Sigma Chi. And it said, you know, are you guys still at Sigma Chi? Ethan texts, yep, when responding to Hunter J asking if he is still at Sigma Chi. Now again, that was so 12:40 or 12:21. Ethan gets back to him within 20, 21, 22 minutes. That's a pretty big gap. What do they use to get this timeline? They use Ethan's cell phone timeline page 104. So on page 104, Hunter's sending him the text. Then it actually goes to the next page, which is timeline page 105, where Ethan texts, "Yep," when responding to Hunter J. Now that tells me that there's a lot of activity on Ethan's phone within that 20 minutes because it's able to take up another page. And it also tells me that if we go back to when he just was at page 75, okay, there's a lot of activity, that means. Now, just when I thought that they couldn't get any dumber, we're watching Dumb and Dumber. What do you think the next numbers are? Can't make this up. Ready? After 2443, which is really supposed to be 0043, the next numbers that we get are 0003, meaning they're trying to tell us at 1 o'clock. They put the time as 0003. Just when you thought maybe they would realize what they just did. Nope. So okay. You guys want to see it? You guys believe me? So at 0003, which is for them 1:03 a.m., Bethany takes photos plural, unknown location at a party of a girl. And I'm like, what the fuck does this mean? And this is now Bethany's cell, page 214. And I'm like, we were just at page 54. What the hell is going on? Like, that would mean there's hella activity on this device, which is really good for someone like me. Like, give me that data, baby. You're telling me, like, holy shit. Like, wild. I'm like, you're, and then, so at 1:03 a.m., Bethany takes photos from an unknown location at a party of a girl, just of a girl. That's what it says here. And it says Bethany's cell phone, page 214. Why wouldn't you ask Bethany who these people are? Like, hey, who's this chick? Why are you even writing this? Why is this part of your timeline of a girl? Of a girl. Then the next minute at 1:04, Dylan takes a photo. IMG 4971. Well, what is it of? So I want to know what image 4971 is. That means there's, at that point in Dylan's phone, there's be 4,971 IMGs, which is usually like a photo. And now think about it. It would seem that Bethany and Dylan would look like they were together the way that they're trying to make it seem like they're together. But I don't think that they are. But there's this timeline is trying to make it seem like they're together. Okay. Just because Dylan took a photo at 1:04 does not mean that she's with Bethany, who took a photo at 1:03. Okay. Where are these people? They all have their freaking devices on and they're sharing all their locations because they use other apps to pinpoint their GPS locations. Like, what are you people doing? This is so easy to do. And I'm like, oh, wait, they do know this, but they don't want any of you guys to know this. And they don't want anybody in this case to know this because it will blow it up. It's going to blow it up. So here we are at 1:04. Then we get to 1:16. And this is where I said, holy shit. 1:16. Xana calls Ethan. and it's unanswered. Xana's phone calls Ethan and it's unanswered. And they use Ethan's phone to determine this. And now I want us to back up, okay, to this. Remember when Dylan says at 12:04, Dylan sees Xana for the last time at Allie's, which would be at the Whites. Xana is holding a White Claw. Okay? Why do I have a weird gut feeling? Just this weird gut feeling is going to come over me. I don't believe anything that Dylan says. Nada. Okay? So if Xana calls Ethan, one would think Xana's phone called Ethan's phone. Oh, Xana using it. Okay. But Ethan doesn't answer. Okay. And it says Ethan misses a call from Lil Noodle, Xana. So he has her in his phone saved as Lil Noodle, Noodle. Okay. Now, a minute later at 1:17, Bethany sees Ethan and Xana in Peter's apartment before leaving. So think about this. Bethany sees Ethan 1 minute after this of when Xana calls Ethan. Why the fuck would Xana be calling Ethan if they're in Peter's apartment together just chilling there? Because here, they just need to put this in. The cops just need to say that, well, at 1:17, Bethany sees Ethan and Xana in Peter's apartment before leaving. What? So, again, we're going to go over here to Lil Noodle. Get over here, my little noodle. Okay. Xana calls Ethan. I wouldn't be calling somebody if I was right next to them. I just wouldn't be calling them when I was right next to them, right? Unless he couldn't find his phone, right? 1:17, Bethany sees Ethan and Xana in Peter's apartment. Before leaving, Bethany and Yessie walk to Allie's house on Taylor, where Allie, Jenna, Hayden, Kennedy, and Yessie were the only people at the house. And I'm like, how does she know that this was at 12:17 a.m. that she did this? Or how does Thompson know this? Or how did the police come up with this shit? Okay. Ready? Hang tight. This is fucking priceless. Now I'm gonna reverse. We're gonna be like, ready, reverse. Remember, Lana said, hang on. Bethany says that she saw Ethan and Xana in Peter's apartment at 1:17. Well, that's funny because Dylan. So, like, let me get this straight. Xana is just running sprints back and forth from the Whites to Sigma Chi. Okay? Like this. No. I'm not. Watch. I'm not at all. Watch. It's how they do math, Mark. This is how these people do math. Not me. They put 24 in here. There's no such time as that. It should be 0004. Okay, so I had to redo these. Then when they get to, it should be 1 o'clock, they put it as 0003. When you deal with idiots, you have to fucking pay attention to everything. Okay? Now, this is really important. It is, if you're going to tell me that Xana is drinking her face off and sprinting back and forth from the Whites to, she's sprinting back and forth from the Whites apartments to Sigma Chi, just going back and forth. Okay. I'm going to tell you, you can get all the way fucked. Okay. What I mean by that is that it is impossible, in my opinion, for Bethany to see Ethan and Xana together in Peter's apartment, where here Xana supposedly called Ethan and he didn't answer. I don't know about you, but I would not be sitting next to somebody and calling them unless I was doing it to find your phone, because you're drunk and you misplaced it. So we're trying to call and find your phone. Okay. Number one, only reason why. But I don't think that's the case here. I don't believe that they were together, because why? Somebody's lying. And if you roll back the tape and you go to this, which is Dylan sees Xana for the last time at Allie's apartment. And that was at 12:04. So then that would mean that Xana left the Sigma Chi party, runs across the street to hang out at the Whites. Okay. Then leaves the Whites to hurry up and run back so that she can be seen by Bethany. You guys see what I'm saying? This just all needed to be all cleared up. But it wasn't, because these idiots they don't vet anything. You could tell them whatever you want in Idaho. Yep, okay, sounds great. So according to Bethany here, Bethany sees Ethan and Xana in Peter's apartment before leaving. Bethany and Yessie walk to Allie's house. Okay. On where Allie, Jenna, Hayden, Kennedy, and Yessie were the only people at the house. And why this is important is it's because where is Dylan Mortensen? Dylan Mortensen was at Allie's, right? So then Dylan Mortensen left. Okay. And as we get here, text from Xana to Pistol Pete. You good? Something happened. You good? Xana's cell phone page 2956. Text from Xana to Pistol Pete, and that's Peter, in my opinion. And so it's like, and this is at 1:20 a.m., 1:17 a.m. I showed you guys why I had to do it all like this. This is not 12, because I told you how these idiots do math and tell time. Okay. So again, text from Xana to Pistol Pete. You good? 1:22. Kaylee pays her bar tab at the corner club with her credit card. She paid for 9 well vodkas and 2 added juices. Okay. Back it up. Yeah, 1:31. Bethany calls Jenna McClure on FaceTime and has a 22-second call. Well, let's talk about that. 1:31. She said she was home. Right? So where was that? I would love to know from Jenna. Jenna, where was Bethany when she called you? Now, this is Mark B. Here you go. They've been lying to us, and here's the proof. The proof is in the pudding. They made it seem like that white car was first ever seen on cameras and doing its little loop-de-loop, swoop-de-pull. Nope. Not at 3:20. Not at 3:26. Here it is. Ridge Road camera first ever used in this case. Pistol Pete is Pistol Pete Maravich. Okay. Pistol Pete is a basketball nickname. just so you guys know. So off of the same camera that they've been using, a white/light colored sedan eastbound on Lauder passing Ridge Road. See that? 1:31 a.m. 1:31 a.m. Ethan at 1:43 a.m. Ethan receives a notification from Erica. You're getting cheated on. Again. A fucking again. Work product. Let's see. White. So Ethan receives this notification, but you see how everything is being received from Ethan? When's the last time that he had an outgoing anything from his phone? And so you have to back that all the way up to 12 when he texted Hunter Johnson and said, yep, that's the last time his phone had like an outgoing command so far is at 12:43. Everything otherwise has been missed. Okay. So again, Ethan receives notification from Erica. You're getting cheated on. 1:56. Again, white/light colored sedan westbound on Lauder passing Ridge Road. So see eastbound or westbound. Which way is westbound? 1:56 a.m. White/light colored sedan. You want to know how wild this is? Ready? Who's traveling at 1:56 a.m.? Who's arriving home at 1:56 a.m.? Who has a white vehicle out at 1:56 a.m.? The undercovers. Okay? This, in my mind, no doubt about it, right here. This and this. That's that Ford Fusion. Okay? Getting home at 1:56 a.m. is now, remember what I've always said, Eric Gower did what? He played Santa Claus for the police department. His wife worked for the city, for the police. And here's Eric Gower and his boys, right? And so as Maddie and Kaylee are coming home, remember, Mark, I said, hey, we're going to find, and I'm going to be able to prove that Eric Gower had a conversation with the white undercover vehicle. Okay. Well, I think this is where we can do that. All right. Because right here, we have the white color vehicle on the Ridge Road camera at 1:56 heading which way? Westbound. Next. Um, 193. Then we have okay. Now Chestnut says that he goes to sleep alone in his room. Just his report. Like, Cole walks home from the corner club. Cole didn't walk home at 2. Wait. Okay, now this is what I need to show you guys. Now this is where all of a sudden, beginning right here. Oh. What a bunch of idiots. They're totally off all of their times. Because I think this is actually, they switch it, and now they're back to being able to, whoever picked up and was doing this and like takes over for writing for somebody, now they start beginning to write like it's normal time. Like that, like the time is whatever's reflecting of it. Like the person just changes in the middle of the timeline and starts writing as now it's like, a text from Xana to Pistol Pete, you good. Right here. It's like whoever took over right here. Because this is actually 12:43. They just take over in the middle. And it becomes being, okay, now we're back at like regular time. Like we know how to count. We know how to, tell time. So then I'm like, oh my God, we have to go back to when it starts being at 00. Okay. And take a look, because then it's actually like, okay, not that it's, yeah. When they then do 00, they're actually, and I'm like, well, then none of this is fucking right. Right. But I just want to show you what they turned in. This is what they turned in. This is their work product. So no, if this was turned in and given to Ann Taylor, tell me this wouldn't confuse the fuck out of you. These are the undercovers though. 90. So let's go right here. Because Cole supposedly walked home at 1. Okay. Dylan calls a bro for a ride for her and Lake, because Lake is very intoxicated. They go back to 1122 King and watch Vampire Diaries. And I'm like, now I have to fucking redo all this shit. Yeah, that's when they restarted all. But my point is that you guys could see that they weren't doing that. There is no such thing as 24 hours, okay? So what would that actually be? Did they fuck up and do 2200 hours? Was that really like their 9 o'clock time? Do you see how fucked up these people are? You see this shit? You see this shit? This is the type of shit that they do. But let me explain something, you guys. They're interviewing these people in Boise, okay? They're interviewing this person in Boise. So when he's looking at his phone, so I just need you to understand this. When he's looking at his phone, he's reading off of Boise time, okay? But Boise is behind an hour or in front of an hour because they're one off from where Moscow is. That's why all of this shit got fucked up, okay? All these people left, and when they were interviewed, anybody was talking to somebody, when you have your phone in front of you and you're then looking at your phone and trying to look back at text messages or pictures or whatever, it comes to you and it will. That's why Dylan was saying, oh, I called Eric Gower at 3. I asked him, I asked him if he was still driving at 3, whatever. And then he got back to me and said, yeah, no. But she thought that, but she wasn't wrong because she was just reading from her phone, like looking at the stuff. But if she would have had, that's showing you what time it was in Boise, which then made it 2. Okay. So I think when you have to look at where these people were located when they were giving their interviews. And then, I'm going to have to go and reinsert this shit and put this then at, put this at the 1 o'clock time. Like move all this shit around because they're just, this is awful. Okay. This is just so awful. And then they think that 12 o'clock, midnight is 2400. Like, I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what they're doing. I just don't know what they're doing. Meaning, I don't know how somebody didn't sit down and not fucking realize this immediately. Because you know there's no such thing as 24:23 as a time. Like, what are you doing? I need to know why you did that. They said that they downloaded stuff. Anyways, so we know that this is at 1. We know that Dylan called. So remember this whole thing? Hey, Dylan, did you call for a sober driver or did you guys walk home? She's like, oh, I think maybe we got the sober. Maybe we called for an Uber on Friday. And remember, do you guys remember? Because it was like, who'd you get a ride? Who gave you the ride? Who gave you the ride? And then what's his name said the same thing. Eric Gower. Eric Gower said, I don't know, maybe I gave him a ride on Friday. And it wasn't, you know. So, but here in her interview, and it's like, this is what you're going off of. And you know what the problem here is did you pay for, like, what do you mean you use who was your sober driver? Who was your sobro? And then why aren't, go ask, who drove Dylan that night? Supposedly this Lakeland girl was so intoxicated. Okay. I cannot wait to hear her interview. She's like a teacher now. Anyways, they go back to watch why would I ever go to your house to go watch Vampire Diaries? No offense, but like, is that coded like scissor? All right. Like, I'm going to go back to my fucking place. Like, how did her and Lakeland ever like meet up that night? And then here's Dylan. Oh, let me just take you and let's just go. Come watch Vampire Diaries with me. Like, what? It's almost like she needed a goddamn, like, someone, like, I need somebody there, like, to be like my alibi. I don't know, but I don't understand. We were watching Vampire Diaries. That was code for when I was like, oh, yeah, we were watching a movie. Like, I don't know. I probably wasn't watching a movie. You know, none of these people know it. Well, what episode were you watching? I don't know. I'd have to read the back of the book. I have to read the back of maybe I should Google what this even Vampire Diaries is about. Like, come on, are you guys kidding me? Like, this is what she was saying. And then here's Idaho just eating it up like prom night. I mean, this is just wild. This is wild to me. I know Gossip Girl, One Tree Hill all day, but Vampire Diaries over there. A lot of alibis, a lot of scissoring going on. And if Lakeland was like so drunk, how does she even remember that she was watching Vampire Diaries? Whatever. So Kaylee engages in a conversation with John Jack Showalter at 1. Remember, because now they can do their time. 1:14. Maddie joins the conversation with Kaylee. 1:16. Xana calls Ethan, not answered. So now we're just over here. Just remember, we already know that. I'm telling you, 2 different people at 2 different times wrote this and like picked up where the other one left off. But one of them knew how to tell time and the other one didn't. So this right here is basically like we that's already on there. Is it scissorable though? That's all we care about. Is it scissorable though? Vampire Diaries is actually quite bingeable and is a riveting story. All right. Lakeland leaves the house. Dylan goes to her room. Per Bethany. That's at 1:22. You guys, this is not accurate, but whatever. But they say that this is why, because we have pictures. She took a selfie, she did this, and then she just pieced out. Okay. Dawson's Creek, I love it. I love it. I love it. She says definitely scissorable. I just need to know if this is scissorable or not. Like, it just gets you in the mood. How would Bethany? Well, because Bethany came home right at the end of Lakeland. Now remember, so this is what they say that they did. When they get into the house, okay, ready? Lakeland has to pee, and now so she goes up. They go up to the second, the middle floor, and she goes into the main bathroom. And they say that she's decided to take pictures in there. Must be taking, like, sitting on that toilet, taking a selfie, like, whatever. She's probably taking a selfie from the camera of the, mirror. Anyways, they claim that those pants were on the ground then. The pants were on the ground. Okay. Well, I believe that those are Ethan's pants. Okay. And I believe that Ethan's in that room. Remember the question was Ethan home? Was he home there? Was he not? Ethan's pants were on the floor. I've been asking everybody, where's a picture of what Ethan was wearing when he went to the formal, and then did he change in between being at the formal and being at this Jersey party? At the end of the day, she takes a selfie in there, then she comes out, then she sees Murphy. Murphy's in the living room / by the kitchen. Supposedly Dylan lets Murphy out. Dylan totally forgot about that. Then Dylan wants to make popcorn, and then they have this popcorn. I'm so curious of how much was actually ate of it. It just looks like it's all just like laying there, and it's like a big puffy bag still. And when you ever make popcorn, like, little kernels get everywhere. I just don't see that. I would love to see the couch where they were sitting on. Anyways, Dylan does all of this stuff. Then she just lays on the couch with her little heart blanket, and she's just dozing off. Somebody takes a picture of it, which I believe is Lakeland, of Dylan. And then at some point, Bethany comes home. So she's with them. And then Lakeland's like, this girl's trying to smash. I don't really want to do this tonight. I don't think I'm into chicks. And so Lakeland leaves. And then Dylan's like, fuck. So Dylan goes to her room, supposedly. And then Maddie and Kaylee come home at 1:56. But right before Maddie and Kaylee come home, we have let's see, 1:56. Yeah. Maddie just called me a bucktooth bitch to Dylan. It was a cute little text. That's what they were doing at the at the corner club. Then Showalter, Kaylee, they leave the corner club and they go walk across the street. It's on that video. Then at 1:38, picture taken from Xana's phone. I said, is Xana in the picture? Where is this taken at? So again, picture taken from Xana's phone. That's all it says, is somebody took a picture from Xana's phone, and that was at 1:38. And so I immediately say, well, is Xana in the picture? Because just because her phone takes a picture doesn't mean she took the picture. But that was Xana's cell phone records at 2957. Kaylee purchases the mac and cheese, okay? Kaylee then texts Eric Gower, and guess what, guys? He's there within 4 minutes to pick them up. At that same time, Peyton Rossi's picking up Jack D and some friends, and then Eric Gower arrives at the grub truck to pick up Kaylee, like I said, within 4 minutes. Jack Decor's leaving. Bethany calls Maddie 2 minutes before they get home. Okay. Bethany calls Maddie because Bethany was the hungry person. Bethany calls Maddie and they use Bethany's phone. Again, they never use Maddie's phone and they never use Kaylee's phone. And this is something that is new to the world here, guys. When they said that they just couldn't get into Kaylee's phone, I'm telling you that this timeline, they're not using Maddie's phone for anything either. Okay. I love Lana, but she won't leave Gower alone because he lied. What do you mean? It's obvious. It's very obvious. He's in his interview, he's lying left and right. Not leaving him alone. Leaving him alone. I'm just calling out that he lied. Do I think that he killed anybody? Absolutely not. Do I think he's a CI? Absolutely. Absolutely. I don't even want to use the word CI. Do I think that if the cops in that community were to ask him, like, hey, so what was it like? You know, did you hear about anything? Anybody selling stuff? What's going on? Absolutely. A lot of people lied. Are you? Yeah. Absolutely. He's over here not charging girls for fucking rides. He's over here acting like he didn't go back into the King Road area numerous times where people were murdered. He's keeping himself away from the crime scene during the crime scene. Anyways. Moving on. Bethany calls Maddie. No answer. So they're in the car. They're getting out of the car. Then 1:55. Bethany sends a photo with message, get me some Mac to Xana, Ethan, Dylan, Kaylee, and Maddie. And now this is what should blow everybody's tits off the wall. Ready? Why doesn't Xana message back Bethany? Why doesn't Ethan message back Bethany? Okay, hang tight. They're about to walk in the door. Kaylee and Maddie. Okay, there's no reason for them to message Bethany back. Okay, boom. Because we're just gonna have a conversation right here. Oh my God, you guys are already here. You guys are already back. Okay, you guys already left. Okay. You know, how did you know that they were at the grub truck, right? Well, because she sent that little pic, but I thought she sent it from John's Cafe or wherever they were, Corner Club. At the end of the day, ready? This is absolutely wild. This whole little you got Ethan and you got Xana and Bethany says and sends this to all of everybody. Okay. Kaylee and Maddie arrive home. I don't know why they wanted to still keep this at 2. We know it was at 1:56, right? Whatever. Kaylee and Maddie arrive home. Girls all go upstairs while Kaylee is getting ready for bed, taking selfie video. Maddie and Bethany then take Murphy outside. Okay. Our roommates that I went to college with, there is no way in hell that if somebody sent a group message like that and one of us was about to order DoorDash or like back in our day, which would be like Jimmy John's, like, you know, freaky fast delivery, like fuck, we could have a sub in like 6 minutes. What you would have seen here is Xana. If Xana orders this DoorDash, Xana would have texted Bethany and been like, girl, I can't get you mac and cheese, but I'm about to order from fucking Jack in the Box. Do you want anything? Like, This is hands down. This is what this is like roommate etiquette 101, because you don't want to pay double on the delivery prices. Why would we? You would never do that, ever do that. So for Ethan's phone to never respond back, to Xana's phone never to respond back to that message from Bethany to everybody, should blow everyone to shreds, okay? And then think about this. Now this is why they called Eric. So what I thought was okay, maybe somebody did get back and it was like I don't want food from there, you know? So let's see if Eric's driving. Well, I don't know why Dylan would say, hey, are you still driving? Like, hello, the girls just got a ride from Eric, okay? Hey, we just got dropped off from Eric. He can probably, see if he'll go and run, pick something up and bring it back, okay? Oh, yeah. I'm taking a bunch of stuff. Thanks, Dan. Appreciate that. So this is what they have to do to slide this in. So Bethany says that she comes back in after a few minutes of being, they try to say that they take the dog out at 2. That doesn't happen right at 2, because they're taking their selfie pictures. It just didn't happen yet. But anyways, Xana takes a picture with this girl, okay? And this girl leaves the Sigma Chi at 2, and Xana and Ethan stay. And I'm like, she sees Ethan, because that never came out in her interview. In fact, I have the interview right here. Supplemental 10. Right? Okay. Supplemental 10. Let's take a look. Chris is just awfully quiet tonight. He's like, I just want to watch. I was like, yeah. All right. Supplemental 10. This is this Jacqueline woman. Okay. She didn't. Okay. She currently lives in the sorority house and had never been to that. Okay. She was at the blank fraternity house on Saturday night, November 12th, for a party. Chapin and Kernodle were at the party. She had never heard of any sort of stalking instances. Ready? She was with Xana until 2 a.m. Ready for this? Where did she say this girl lives? When she did this interview? Where was she? Oh, here it is. Meridian. Thank you. Fuck yeah. Lana's right. You know what that means? Do you have any idea what that means? That means this was not at 2 o'clock in the morning, and it was at 1. Suck it all the way. Boom. Fuck yeah. Right here, this girl saying she was looking at her phone because she did her interview from fucking Boise, and it's an hour off, and those motherfuckers never changed it. And I will take a big fat fucking bow. So that Jacqueline girl, it's not her fault. She was in Boise looking at, she's like, I have a picture. I took a picture with Xana. Here's me and Xana. Okay. Well, that was at 1. That was at 1. Here we go. Again. Again. This pic right here. Yep. The interview, though, was in Boise, making this 1 o'clock. Boise, it was 2. Moscow, it would have been 1. Suck on them titties. Okay. Just having some fun here on a Monday. Next. Now I want to see what she says about Ethan. or if they just slipped that in there. Let's see. So she's doing that there. All right. She was at the Chapin and Colonel were at the party. God, I love it. Did you see how they just try to make it seem like that she saw them at 2? Because not only was it says Xana takes a picture with Jacqueline. Jacqueline leaves Sigma Chi, and Xana and Ethan stay. Yeah, at 1. She left at 1. She's trying to say that they stay. Okay. We're getting there. We're getting there. So, and again, for all we know, does she give a timestamp of this pic that she takes? Let's see. She says, again, she was with Xana until 2 a.m. She took a picture with Xana and walked home. Well, look at these pieces of shit. She was with Xana until 2, period. She took a picture with Xana and walked home. Chapin and Colonel remained at the party. She had no further contact with them. Ready? Dylan, everyone's saying that she's running back and forth from the Whites between Bethany and all these people. Like, Xana is just everywhere. Okay, like, this is really, really important. And this is what these people just didn't do. Okay, this crime happened way fucking earlier. 2:53 at the latest. 2:53 at the latest. Why do you think that they didn't go and get into Kaylee Gonzalez's cell phone? That would show no more movement after 2:53. I'm telling you, you name me 2 girls who are hanging out, happen to be right next to each other, hanging out, texting, doing whatever, and they both stop not to do another thing on either one of their cell phones at the same time. And it's not because something would have had to happen. They both didn't just fall asleep at the same time. Also, just because you maybe stop calling somebody, you then turn over and you're like on your phone and like you're looking up some stupid thing on social media. You're like, scrolling through whatever, YouTube, just going up, or doing it on TikTok, Twitter, whatever the fuck you're doing. That's what people do. Okay. There was none of that. But can we know for sure? No, because Bill Thompson and the rest of the gang said, don't go get those phones. Don't let those phones get downloaded. Don't let those phones truly be looked at by somebody worth a damn. And you want to know what? Ann Taylor, she just took it that this happened when at whatever time they're saying. Instead of saying, and what I've been saying since day one, you guys, if this happened at 2:53, how does Brian Kohberger involved? This is what Idaho State Police do. The time of the crime, you guys, they never can get right. And I think it's because they don't know time. Okay. But anyways, Colonel had been dating Chapin for about a year. Everyone had a crush on Xana. She heard Blank was at the 1122 King Road house after the Blank party. Blank is a Blank and a PC brother of Chapin. This was, I think, Tim DeWolf, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. And this is why Ann Taylor had Tim DeWolf on the witness list. But when Tim was interviewed, Tim said, I didn't even talk to him that night. Tim, it's in the book. Get this book. Okay. But Ann Taylor had Tim DeWolf on the witness list because People were saying that Tim went back to the 1122 King Road house. Right. And I want to know who started that. Because think about this. Ready? Pab is convinced it's still at 4 a.m. It's not. Sorry. And it finally I can explain the diluted blood, I think. Me and Chris talked on the phone, you guys, last night for like another hour and 40 minutes after the live show. The wild shit we were getting into. Just, I love, you just got to go with the information. You got to go with the documents and what it shows, what doesn't show. Anyways, this right here, this was done in Boise. She's looking at her phone. That's a Boise time, which would make it 1 o'clock Moscow. This is wrong, and it needs to be changed. Okay? Okay. I'm going to give you guys some goods. Don't worry. I tell you everything. All right, so we got to move this to 1. Now, again, their lovely work product shit here. Now, this is what everybody should really blow a gasket here, okay? Cooper Atkinson. Well, he attempted to call Ethan 5 times on FaceTime. 5 times. I'd love to know where Cooper did his interview. Was he in Boise? Was he looking at his phone in Boise? Okay. If he was looking at his phone in Boise, again, this would be 1 o'clock. If he wasn't looking at his phone in Boise, we don't know. It's saying work product. Okay. That's if this is work product and you're taking screenshots and people are providing you screenshots. If that's what they're fucking talking about here, this is crazy. But anyway, since I said, here it is. Cooper attempts to call Ethan 5 times on FaceTime. And I'm over here thinking, well, what does Ethan's phone show? Right? What does Ethan's phone show? Why aren't you just using Ethan's cell right? Right? You understand? So, but everybody should be asking themselves, again, why isn't Ethan answering? Why isn't everyone went to Boise? That's just where they live. A lot of people live there. Okay. Why isn't he answering? Ethan, when did I say the last time that Ethan had an outgoing command on his phone? 12:43. 12:43. FaceTime as in Facebook or FaceTime as in iPhone. What does it say? It says he attempts to on FaceTime. I'm guessing FaceTime, like iPhone. Bethany takes several pictures with Murphy in Kaylee's bed. Bethany. Now, is this Bethany? Well, yep. Cell page 212. I'm like, 212? We were just at page 54. Look at this stuff. Page 212. Do you see how much activity is missing? You guys, there is so much data, and I cannot just wait to get it. For them to be able to jump from page 54 to page 212 in just a matter of a couple hours, that is hella activity. That means you are doing so much shit. Okay? You're doing so much shit with your phone. So Bethany takes several pictures with Murphy in Kaylee's bed, but guess what? Hang on. Where was Bethany when she did her interview? What was and then I said, but does it matter though, because they actually took her cell phone and they downloaded it. So we're good with a 202. That's correct. Okay. So because they were all cuddling up in, at 2 o'clock when they all got back up there. So remember, they're all in Kaylee's bed. We're still on the 2 o'clock hour here. Now 2:10, Dylan sends a message to Eric. Uber, are you driving tonight by chance? Dylan's cell phone, page 3121, so 3000. Okay. And 196, 197. And this is when Mortensen tells Gooch in the interview that it was at 310. Remember? And then this is when we all know that it wasn't. But this is how I'm proving and showing that when you're in Boise and you look at your phone, it's going to show you the time that this was occurring with whatever time zone you're in. So, and anyways. Then Dylan received a text. So my question is, why didn't, what it seemed to me is that Bethany was the hungry one. She's like, I want this mac and cheese, right? And remember, Ethan nor Xana responded to that. Or if they did, we don't have it. Not Bill Thompson, but the quote unquote, the investigators didn't deem it important for us to know if there was any type of response here. Okay. For the food. But we're allowed to know about this, right? Because they think it's important, which is, so you can hear her because she does like a video recording, and you can hear other people, and they're about to like call Eric Auer, and they just decided to like text them, and they text back, and this is when the state wanted to just tell us that Dylan went to bed. Dylan went to bed. And it was the police that were willing and still are. They think that that's just, they're accepting that. That's not, fuck accepting it. That's not accurate. I don't give a shit. Okay. What'd she do? She just fell over and went to sleep right there on the fucking stairs. Anyways. Says that she is the first of the roommates to go to bed. Okay. Now at 2:15, DoorDash, Jack in the Box, ordered by Xana's, and it said by Xana. And this is what I added to it because this is what you would actually have to say. Ordered by Xana's phone. You have no idea who actually ordered that. None. If you can get into my phone, if I don't have a password on it, or you know my password, you get into it. There is no once you hit my DoorDash app, they don't ask you for like type in some code so that I can then use DoorDash. No, I can then go click on whatever I want, order whatever I want, get it, and have it sent. Boom. Okay. And it just takes it out of my account or whatever number or whatever card I have behind it, just takes it and then they bring me my food. So what they need to say here is that Xana's phone ordered the DoorDash. We have no idea who technically was the person that was manually using the phone. And it's in Xana's cell, it's in her download. At 2:16. Oh, wait, so let me back up. So remember this whole thing. You're telling me 2 minutes. 2 minutes. 2 minutes after Dylan gets a message from Eric saying, yes, I am. Okay. There's no other response that Eric gets. These girls are trying to get food. And you want to tell the world that Xana's home. Everybody was home by 2 and in their beds by 4. These cops knew that there was no way that Xana's home making this, because I'm telling you, you're just going to do all this and none of your roommates are going to get on that order. No, this was made from a different location. She wasn't either at home or somebody else used her phone. Sorry, these are just the facts. All these girls are all hungry. Remember, Xana doesn't call her back. Xana doesn't mess. What it seems to us is Xana doesn't get back. Neither does Ethan. When Bethany puts that out just a couple minutes before this. Then there's a DoorDash. So think about this. What if Xana left her phone? And they're like, oh my God, she went out without her phone. I have no idea. No idea. Let's just use her phone and let's just order our food with her. Who knows? People, if they all play jokes at each other, who knows? At the end of the day, these girls were adamant that they didn't see Ethan or Xana before they went to bed. So I just believe that this did not happen at the house. They did that somewhere else. Then at 2:16, a white light colored sedan turning left from westbound Lauder to Ridge Road. At 2:16. At 2:17 or at 2:16, they're saying you can hear a dog barking from far away, and you can hear somebody whistling. And I said, get the fuck out of here. But this is the first time that they ever want to bring into play the 112 King video into their whatever here. They don't use the video to determine that this SUV is coming back, at any point in time, like they say when Ethan drove it or something like that. When they could have done all that. Then they say that there's barking that can be heard on the, like I was telling you, calling for Murphy and whistling can be heard, and that Murphy's barking. And I was like, that's really quick for this all to go down. That Murphy just ran off right when Murphy just got outside. Just okay. No, the people that are whistling Dixie, we know who they are. Then right here, light colored sedan, westbound on Lauder, passing Ridge Road. And again, it would be doing the same thing because up here, what does it say? Westbound. Westbound. What was this white colored sedan doing? This is at 2:16. There's one, that just happened earlier. Like this person who's doing this in this car is a driver. Okay. Then 2:26, Jack D calls Kaylee. They talk for 17 minutes and they're using Jack's cell data from his phone. Like same thing, like they downloaded his. And now if you do the math and you add 17 minutes to 226, guess what it is? For some reason, what it seems like is either the call, if somebody falls asleep on you when you're talking, okay, and you're like, hello, you're dozing off. So you try to like hang up, maybe you call back or whatever. Or if you're having a conversation, then somebody gets in an argument and somebody hangs up on somebody. Okay. And somebody keeps, calling back. But now I want to put in all of these things going on at the same time, which is this. Ethan and Xana are missing. Okay. After 1 o'clock, that photo, if there even is a true photo, that's just Xana. Okay. That girl would have saw Ethan earlier. Ethan has not done anything with his phone. Like making a command back to somebody. Ethan's phone has not done anything. Okay. So we have Dylan, who says that she goes to bed. Meanwhile, she was hungry as fuck. You guys know what it's like when you try to go to bed when you're hungry. Bethany, who's hungry, she's going to go to bed. Oh, I went down. I was tired at 2:30 and I just went down to my room straight to bed. Removing themselves from the situation. Okay. Dylan. Bethany, removing herself from the situation. Xana and Ethan, nowhere to be found. Nobody knows where they're at. And then Maddie and Kaylee. Out of character, here it goes. Just a little bit. 2:43, 2:44. 2:44, 2:47, 2:47. Then 3 minutes will go by. Then now Maddie's phone is about to do this. Okay? So there's no overlappage here. Kaylee goes first. That phone. Then 2:50 is Maddie calls Jack D. 2:51, Maddie calls Jack D. 2:51, hang up, calls Jack D. Maddie calls Xana. This is what has always been left off the ticket, and I about fell the fuck over. How does Ann Taylor miss this to put this not in there? She said that Maddie called Bethany, okay, which she does. But what she absolutely forgot about is that Maddie called Xana. No answer. And now this should blow you. This should blow everybody. While this is happening, though, what is Kaylee's phone doing? Okay, so Kaylee goes from like shotgun, right? Now either this is what's happening here. Either Kaylee decided if her phone died, instead of waiting, because if you have an iPhone, sometimes it can take forever to come back on. She picks up Maddie's phone and she starts using that phone to make these phone calls. Okay. But what everybody should realize right here is that it can't be, in my opinion, that. Because if she's trying to see if Jack D will answer, let me use Maddie's phone. And I'm going to call him. Okay. You call him. It's then this part. Kaylee didn't call Maddie or Bethany. Or not Maddie, but Xana or Bethany. Kaylee just called Jack D. Maddie, Jack D. Maddie calls Xana. No answer. White vehicle traveling southeast on Nevada in Pullman, Washington towards State Route 270. What are the fucking odds that this would be happening, right? We know here that they want to put it at 2:53. A white vehicle and check those fog lights. They throw this in, but Kaylee then calls. So 2:53. See how 2:52? No overlappage. Kaylee then calls Jack D. No answer. Jack D. No answer. Maddie calls Bethany. No answer. I know that everybody says that there is no way that people wouldn't have called 911 if you were like in an emergency, okay? That you so I want you guys to think about something, okay? If Kaylee was to see something that she was not supposed to see, okay? If you're looking at this, you got Maddie and Kaylee's phone calling everybody except for Ethan. Ethan's phone. Okay. So again, I just want to show you guys this again. On the phone with Jack D. 17 minutes. Like that was going to be like normal. Okay. Then as soon as this call is over, immediately Kaylee calls Jack D back. Because look at this. Jack D called her. There's also text messages. All right. So Jack D calls her, but then Kaylee calls him. He's not answering. Kaylee FaceTimes. Kaylee FaceTimes. Then Maddie calls Jack D. Maddie calls Jack D. Maddie calls Xana. No answer. Then Kaylee calls Jack D. Then Maddie calls Bethany. No answer. Bethany, though, look at what they do then again. Why are you putting at 2:31 that Bethany is active on a phone? 2:31 does not come after 2:53, you fucking pieces of shit. And I'm like, this is crazy. You see that? So you have to actually move this to and it's like, well, if she's active on her phone, but that's not at this time. And now, so let's think about this. Xana isn't answering. Xana hasn't returned anybody's text messages. Ethan hasn't returned anybody's text messages in forever. Bethany's not returning anybody's call or answering it. Dylan's not being called. Y'all motherfuckers want to say that nothing's going down. That this is just shotgunning. This isn't shotgunning. This is not. That's not what this is. Jack D told the officers that he has been around Maddie since they were in high school. Okay? And she has had his number and she has never ever called him like this. This is what's out of character. And when you would hear that, why wouldn't you say, yeah, wow. Yeah, wow. Okay? Like Jack D said, this is not normal that Maddie doesn't call me. So why is Maddie calling me? So I said, okay. Dylan's not being called though. Bethany's being called though. Okay, well, this is what it looks like to me. Xana's not at the house. Bethany's not at the house. They didn't call Dylan because Dylan's there, right? So Bethany runs off and actually goes and has a quickie dicky. And she does the, I'm going to act like I'm going to bed. We've all done this. And I'm actually going to walk on over and have a little smash fest. I'll be back. And that actually lines up perfectly with her interview with when Noonan says, were you here all night last night? Pretty much. I mean, pretty much. I got home at 1:32 and I was home the whole night. Right? That's how, I mean, what do you mean? Who says I was home? Were you home last night? Or were you here? Like, what? Go back and listen to that. And she says, she doesn't say yes. Okay. Now, if Bethany leaves to go have a smash fest and comes back at, let's say, I don't know, 4:15, 4:30, I don't know. Something's happening here. The noise complaints. What do? They all call each other, right? What the fuck is going on? What is going on? To the point that at 2:53, these two girls' cell phones will never move again. Who just does all this shit to then just go like this? Nobody. Who does all of this and then just isn't still on social media looking at their shit? You guys, we're not this dumb. And I know y'all are like, wow, this is when you lay it all out like this, Lana. Yeah, like, and so it's like, wow, was Murphy really missing? Right? Murphy's missing? What are you talking about? Murphy's missing. Murphy's barking. According to Bill Thompson, Murphy's barking on the fucking, What do you mean Murphy's missing? Where'd Murphy go? So look, again, let me get this all straight. Ethan's getting text messages that he's being cheated on. Ethan and Xana are not even with each other when people are saying that they're together at some parties when they're not. They're calling each other and they're not answering, right? this is all happening, and then Murphy goes missing, right? Allegedly, and Kaylee and Maddie are calling like ridiculous style, or at least their phones are being used in this type of capacity, which could be like, hey, I can't call the police yet because this is crazy, but I need to, like, come on, Jack, answer the phone, you know. But all this is happening. All this is happening. All this whack shit. What's Dylan's phone doing? What's Dylan doing? Well, guess what, guys? We're just going to fast forward an hour. We're going to fast forward an hour and act like nothing happens between 2:30, or I'm sorry, from 2:53, we're just going to fast forward to 3:25. A white sedan seen traveling westbound on 787 block of Indian Hills. White sedan seen at 3:28. 3:29, white light colored sedan westbound on Lauder passing Ridge. So, oh wait, so this isn't the first time that a vehicle is going round and round like this. There's a white vehicle that's been doing this all night long, right? And then ready? 3:51. Dylan creates a phone contact for this chick. 3:51 at the same exact time. Emily Allant Venmos Xana $14. BB card for Emily. What? BB card? So Emily just wakes up out of a deep slumber and says, oh my God, I have to Venmo fucking Xana $14. Okay. 3:54. Xana text messages to DoorDash. Are you having trouble finding it? Now, let me tell you, that is not what she would have wrote out. There's a button that you could press, and that's can just like automatically send it. Now, ready for this? Why wouldn't Xana's phone be the phone that was laying next to Xana on her bedroom floor? Why was it a different cell phone, which was AKA Ethan's? This missing phone, which appears to have been missing, that nobody, everybody that was trying to contact Ethan after 12:43, or potentially Ethan, somebody used his phone at 12:43 and said yep or whatever, but Ethan's phone then would seem like it's just placed next to Xana, lying on that bloody ass floor, up and on the right hand next to her. That wasn't Xana's phone. It was Ethan's. Why would Ethan's phone be right next to where Xana is? So she was walking around with his phone and her phone, because she's got her phone that she's supposedly like writing this DoorDash shit with, right? So on a night that somebody's telling Ethan that he's being cheated on. Okay? It would be the same night that he's killed and murdered. And same with Xana. And then Kaylee and Maddie. And be the same night that these phones are going all crazy by calling each other all So when you want to all talk about, now ready for this? Everyone says, well, just look at these text messages. It's like it's in real time what's happening between Dylan and Bethany. Well, I'm going to show you how that actually how it actually would look. If Bethany leaves and goes to have a hump fest at 2:30, okay, she wouldn't hear anything, right? She leaves, she's going to come back. Or even if somebody was to come meet her in her room and whatever. So we have all those phones going crazy. Those phones never move again. Those are the same two phones, Kaylee and Maddie's phone, that have the cops downloaded. Nope, we know that they didn't get in and download Kaylee's. Maddie's, we went through this whole thing. Maddie's is not used for any of this. And they try to say that Dylan was sleeping and that she went to bed like at, right after texting Eric Gower at 2:10, 2:11. Yeah. But then here, video DoorDash delivery by McMichael. Then at 4 to 4:20, Dylan hears Kaylee singing and playing music and walking on the stairs. She hears Kaylee say someone is here, sounding frantic. Okay. This is what Dylan is saying. Dylan is saying this. And it's because of this. Okay. Molly McMichael said that she saw somebody popping up and popping down. Remember that? Popping up. Molly also said that she saw a sedan and that this person had spiky, reddish, blondish hair, like, whatever, like what she's saying, spiky, like messy, you know what I mean? Whatever. Messy, curly, spiky. Fuck, Molly doesn't probably know the difference between curly and spiky. Poof. So Dylan hears Kaylee singing and playing music. This was in the living room. And that she says in her, well, Kaylee says, I'm going to go to sleep. So then I decided that I'm going to go to sleep. So I tell myself, I'm going to go to sleep. Wait, I thought you just woke up. So it's like, oh, yeah. This was actually, everything that you're saying, this was at 53? Okay. Kaylee's going upstairs with the dog, 2:53. White sedan, doing whatever. While vehicle seen traveling eastbound King Road, stopping and turning around, then driving back, attempts to park, continues to intersect with Queen, doing all this. We all know that. 4:12. It says Xana is still active on TikTok. I said, the fuck she is. At 4:12, she's still active on TikTok. So again, let me get this straight. Xana has been active on TikTok, but she's just ignoring everybody. Then this is all of a sudden her new interview, which is Dylan opens the door for the first time and sees no one. Dylan opens her door the second time, thinks she hears Kaylee crying in the bathroom, and a male in the bathroom with her say, it's okay, I'm going to help you. Now thinks it may have been Xana in the bathroom. Or this is just playing. Your Vampire Diaries is just playing on the television in that room. But this is what's crazy. You don't hear anybody screaming. Nobody's screaming. And Bethany hasn't done anything yet. And you haven't done anything yet in terms of like, this is just your story after the fact. Right? Dylan then just opens up a door again the third time now. And she sees someone dressed in all black with a mask. holding an item like a vacuum because she knows that it was a cleanup. That's why she's thinking of vacuum in her little story, because she can't help the fact that she knows that there was a cleanup. The only person that wouldn't know there's a cleanup is who? A vacuum? A vacuum. Of all things to say, a vacuum. Wow. They were approximately. Now, we're going to back up. Where her bed was, right? And where Maddie's bed is, just right on top of each other. There's literally like a basketball hoop length from bed to bed. And you're not hearing people. She said the walls are so thin. You're not hearing people screaming their fucking asses off. Screaming. And then you want to say that Xana and the type of fight that was, I mean, we're talking about literally like, we're talking people, she's able to make out these words of what somebody is telling somebody, but she doesn't hear anything else. And neither does Bethany. Yeah. Yep. I understand Bethany because Bethany was not there when this happened. But if this happens at that time, right? She never used the word screaming. There's someone here. You guys, this couldn't have been at 4:00. This couldn't have been at 4:00. Xana came home at the worst time ever, in my opinion. Now, Bethany. Look at what they do. Why aren't you guys showing 419? Bethany calls Dylan. Why? Because the thing that I think I hear at 417 is now this is where the acting part begins. That's Dylan screaming. That's Dylan doing all that. Bethany calls Dylan. Why didn't Bethany call Xana? Why didn't Bethany call Ethan, Maddie, Kaylee? If she wakes up and she would have looked at her phone, guess who she has a missed call from? Who does she have a missed call from? Maddie. So if I woke up from hearing something and I grab my phone and I see that I have a missed call and it's from Maddie, who do you think I'm going to press and call? Motherfucking Maddie. Right? Because I have a missed call from her because it would just be like, oh, she just called me. Let me call her. That's not what happens. Bethany calls Dylan. Bethany calls Dylan. Dylan, what's going on? Why are you screaming? Because Bethany didn't hear anything else because, I don't know, did Bethany just get home? Only Bethany can tell you the truth. But what it seems like is this. Bethany calls Dylan, right? So that would mean that Dylan couldn't have been the person to say to herself, oh, I was alerted to all of this shit because Kaylee's doing all of this. When I'm hearing this, I'm yelling out Kaylee's name. I'm opening, closing the doors. I'm texting them. I'm calling them. Nobody is answering. No, she doesn't start doing any of this shit until Bethany calls her. When Bethany calls her, the plan goes into action. And now this is when Ann Taylor was going to say that then here's what happens here. And if, let's say this, you guys have seen the movie Primal Fear before, right? If you have a condition where you could do something and then not even know that you did it because you have a split personality, whatever they want to call it now, DID, what is that, whatever it's called. Okay. Except in the movie Primal Fear, he faked it, okay, to get off on his murder of the priest, right? Here, nothing happens with Dylan's phone until after Bethany calls to alert Dylan to, what the fuck is that? Like, what am I hearing, right? What's going on? What is that? It was a firecracker. Now Murphy's barking or whatever the fuck they want to say. And that all comes out later and how this order and cups are falling. And okay, well, guess what? Where's Ethan's blood? Ethan's blood. Maddie and Kaylee's blood is diluted. Everything's up there. And when you came downstairs, okay, you saw that it was there. Oh my God, I got to start wiping this shit up. Okay. So she starts wiping it up. This story makes no sense. That if you want to say right here, this is what happened. Bethany calls Dylan, and Dylan's just answering it right off the rip. Hey, hi. Thought she was sleeping. I don't know what you're talking about. What do you mean? You didn't hear anything? You didn't hear any of this stuff? That's even if that's the reason she's calling. Shouldn't the person that be calling first to any and all of this, right, is Dylan? Dylan should be doing exactly what she said, which was screaming out and calling people's names, then getting on her phone and calling the people. Bethany calls her. What? I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know. Let me go see. And then I go out and see, and then I'm trying to tell her what I think I saw, and she's over here saying, no, I don't know. I'm telling you that this is what I just saw, and da-da-da-da. Huh? What are you talking about? Yeah, there's a fucking masked man in the house. What? Yeah, there's a fucking masked man in the house. And what is Bethany doesn't believe her? Because Dylan fucking lies all the time. Because Dylan's a pathological liar. And that's why Maisie said, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Dylan goes down to the room. Why doesn't Bethany fucking do shit about anything? Because she thinks this is just the same shit that she's always done in the past. Who the fuck knows, right? But clearly, Bethany didn't take it seriously. And we have no idea actually when she ended up running down, because there's that movement on her phone at 5. Is that what time she went down to the room? At 5? My fucking hero. You think Ann Taylor's my hero? God, you're dumb. You are dumber than I thought. This crime was not committed. Now, let me tell you, when people want to say, why would anybody protect Dylan? Nobody's protecting Dylan. They're protecting their school the same way that they would protect WSU. The same way that the Gonsalveses and all the families are suing WSU. This was always about, if they thought that we could be in some legal fucking, if we had some issues here, if people had been bringing Dylan's behavior in her time. So let's talk about why, Lana. Why would you ever say this? Why do you ever think this? Well, because the evidence doesn't lie. The facts are the facts that are at the crime scene. This was totally cleaned up. This was not done in a matter of minutes. And Ethan's blood, also it looks like we know that it's two completely separate crime scenes because the people upstairs, their blood is not in Ethan and Xana's room. And so this happened by somebody being able to commit the crime upstairs, okay? Commit both of these crimes, clean up themselves in between the two crimes, okay? And it looks like nobody ever left. There's no fucking drippage. You couldn't find a spit, like no blood anywhere leaving out that house. That whole bottom first floor shower completely, like there's not a towel in there. There's nothing. There's no toothbrushes. There's nothing in that first floor bathroom. Nothing. And you have somebody that just says that they saw a masked man being able to just go right to sleep, not talking about anything, then just pop up in the morning and just start, I don't know, surfing the net. But let's get back to this whole, well, what if Dylan was having problems with the university? What if the police knew that Dylan had drawings that she should not have had or that should have definitely been looked at? For example, why did Dylan have a past Pinterest account, an old one, that the police found that they called work product? They found it on her Pinterest account, and her Pinterest account had nothing but knives saved to it. Dylan's. That's in evidence. That's in the discovery. Dylan's old Pinterest account had nothing but knives. Knives. Who has a Pinterest account and saves nothing but knives? Who would be drawing people with not having their body parts, not having their head attached to their torso, blood coming on shit? What girl is drawing like humans without heads and shit like that? Or like their hands, bloody hands are around everywhere. My roommates in college, when we were 19 and 20 years old, definitely were not drawing that. And they definitely were not, I never saw that. And then you guys do know this, right? It is crazy to even have to say this because it pains me. Maddie and Kaylee, like, why were they sliced both ways, ear to ear, twice? Both girls. Post-mortem. What? Like, both girls. Same slices. This, what? And then it was post-mortem, like it. After I got off talking with Chris, and in the book talking about, a stranger kills you, what the percentages are. And then when you look at this, and this was not a sexually motivated crime, okay? And if it's not a sexually motivated crime, what type of crime are we dealing with? And they refer to this as an overkill. Like Kaylee was considered, that'd be like an overkill, like rage killing. This is very personal. Rage killing, overkill, like you just And that's why so many people in the Mothman Police Department and the Idaho State Police and the FBI were so fixated on Jack D. Because they were fixated on these stupid ass text messages and this stupid ass shit with the calls and stuff like that. And they had just recently broken up, you know what I mean? Like, you can get it to a point, you know, because, hey, unlike the Jennifer Drake case, you know, it's usually like someone that's like a spouse or a boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever. Yeah, maybe if that was just Kaylee that was killed, right? But we're talking about signature wounds. We're talking about, it looks like the killer never left the fucking house, y'all. Right? Or that you cleaned up so well. Right? You want to look at that crime scene and you know, people want to say, yeah, this happened in 4 minutes from some car that was trying to park and be all over the place in park. Okay. What it looks like is what happened. A number was saved at 351, a contact. All right. Let's talk about her steps. She's the one that's taking all the steps. Why would the state allow everybody and anybody to believe that Dylan and Bethany were sleeping the whole time when they weren't? Why did the state come out and say that they knew where Xana and Ethan were the entire time when they weren't even together at the same places? Why are they making it seem like Ethan drove the Ford Explorer to the house earlier? Because that Ford Explorer can't be the 429 car, right? Why does Hunter Chapin not have his cell phone? And then he just lost it. Or that it just doesn't work anymore. What? What the fuck is going on here? Well, so let me get this straight. On a night where all of this shit's going down, then a fucking crazed lunatic on WSU's campus hits up the same house where all of this fuckerage has been going down. Oh, by the way, Dylan asked Kaylee to be her +1, bring her into town. And then in her interview, she mentions that, oh yeah, no, we were trying to get Kaylee to stay, and I think she was going to end up staying and not leaving. So, you got a ton of issues going on with the sororities, and people are just leaving. People are trying to be booted out. Okay, I was told that Dylan was. They were trying to kick Dylan out of the sorority. We're about to find out if that's true or not. We're about to see if there's some papers on that. Same night, someone's trying to tell Ethan that he's being cheated on. And it's by this Erica account. Well, was he being trolled? Was he being trolled and lured into like coming back to the house? And then he was. What's truly going on here? And it's in those phones, and they refuse to talk about the victims' phones and the surviving victims' phones in terms of their movement, truly what they've been up to. You want to talk about, let's do a deep dive into the victim and the survivor's phones over in this past year, and who was getting into who on whose nerves. But until you rule and figure out why you're trying to make it seem like people are seeing certain people at places, why you're saying people are together at places when they're not, there's no evidence of it. why you're saying they're home at 2 when they're fucking not, why you're saying that, why is the state just making blanket fucking statements? They cannot put Xana or Ethan anywhere unless you open up those phones and you go off of those phones. Ethan's phone should click onto the Wi-Fi. I want to see the Barnharts take all of these phones, and I want to see them do what they did with John O'Keefe's phone, and I want it to be all pocket state. I want all the distance, and I want you to put these phones, and I want you to map these phones Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That's what I tried to get, and I was denied my FOIA request. And I want Friday, Saturday, Sunday of all of these kids' digital whereabouts with the phones. And they're going to tell you a completely fucking different story. And it's going to show you that everything stops at 2:53. It's going to show you that everything starts. And guess who said the same thing that I said? Chris Holland, Ann Taylor's expert. He was adamant that these crimes started right after 2:52, 2:53. And it's like, well, yeah, no shit, because that's what the digital evidence shows you. They said John O'Keefe was incapacitated because his phone never moved again. And Karen Reed backed into him. Okay? It's because of when the phone stopped moving that they said that happened. We're over here seeing these two girls, Kaylee and Maddie, on their phones constantly, and all of a sudden, bam, their phones don't get used from that moment, either one of them, ever again. That's what it looks like, right? They're calling people, no one's answering. They called Xana, she didn't answer. Was Xana already dead? Was Ethan already dead? Bill Thompson says that the dog starts barking at 2:16, 2:17. Someone's whistling Dixie. That'd be your Ford Fusion people. This is your undercovers. Remember when the undercovers were like, yeah, we were making loops. Yeah, we would come up, drive around here, come like this, go around there. Me and Mark B, we went through every single one of those cars. We spent hours on the phone together. I was like, this never fucking happened. None of this shit happened. They didn't see no girls. Remember, it was like, oh yeah, we saw girls walking in on our last go round. We saw them, and that we didn't think anything that they were anything wrong. That would have been at 2:52, right before the minors in possession. They said they pulled around, and right before they got those minors in possession. Why don't you add that to the same time frame? 2:52, 2:51, minors in possession. But right before that, they said that they made this loop. That's a lie. Pretty much at 2:53, nothing ever happens in Moscow. We'll see you on the next one, guys. I enjoyed every bit of having Chris. He's going to be back. We always said the time of the crime was way earlier. We said then it was then based off of these stupid text messages. It was after the fact, because you're talking back and forth like you are and trying to say, yeah, well, that's when this was happening. No, the fuck it wasn't. This was not happening then. Okay? Bill Thompson knows it too. Sayonara.